Hello, everybody, and welcome to Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. And this week, revolving around Correspondence Week, a handful more to go. James, who do we have today?
Come on, you Spurs. We're joined by my good friend and Tottenham Hotspur correspondent at Ricky Saunders, 77. How are you, Ricky?
Thank you very much. I'm really good, thanks, James. Really good indeed, mate.
Are you in a good mood?
Actually, I am. I'm in a really good mood.
Was it watching all that Amazon shit, was it?
Yeah.
Well, do you know what? I've only watched the first episode so far.
No. Kind of a fan of you.
Well, no, look, I'm doing a good deed, mate. My best mate, the geezer I had the season ticket with, he hasn't got Amazon Prime, so he's punting around tomorrow night. We're going to watch it together.
Yeah.
So I'm taking one for the team, literally for the team.
You missed the good bits already, mate. Pochettino left after 20 minutes.
I saw them spoilers all over Twitter. I was really fucked off. I didn't want anyone to ruin it for me.
Ricky, there's no spoilers, mate. Nothing fucking happens. I'm telling you, mate.
Well, I tell you what,
the highlight was Dele Alli. Go on, Sid, sorry.
I was going to say, the way they've dramatized it, though, James, like, it gets you believing almost in, you know what, you can see what they're trying to do behind the scenes and the club. Like, it almost got me towards getting more Spurs assets into my team. I think from a drama point of view,
get back in the garden.
Yeah, it genuinely, it does what it's supposed to do from an emotional point of view and showing the stuff behind the scenes and what have you.
It's good for all that stuff, Ricky. Other than that, the highlight was Dele Alli discussing how he brushes his teeth.
I saw that
basically
clip earlier.
The fucking highlight.
It doesn't really show Dele in the best light, does it? It doesn't come across as a very clever geezer.
I suspect that things might happen in future episodes that change that perception, because I think Tottenham have been all over the editing of this, mate. There is nothing sensationalised in that at all that can do any damage to the club or anything. The fact that I was 20 minutes in and it was already November told me a lot of things. So there's not a lot to talk about from that generally. If you like to see the inside of the club and all that, it's great. It's interesting seeing them be in a dressing room and swearing at each other, and Mourinho saying, go and press. And I'm like, they ain't listening to you then, are they, mate? I ain't never seen that press before. So those things are a little bit interesting, but it's just glorified, mate.
From the episode of what I watched already, you can see Levy's handiwork in that. It reeks of Levy editing that.
Yeah.
But that's he's not gonna let anything. Look, at the end of the day, he's still trying to sell this club, isn't he? So he wants to portray it in the best possible light. Although I'm a big Levy fan, if someone else can come in with some money, I'll happily let him walk away.
Are you still a Levy fan? Because I feel the thing is, whenever you look on social media, it is always you need to spend the money. You need to. What I keep saying, who's going to buy the fucking club for over £1 billion, right? It's not that easy just to sell the football club.
No, it's not. It's not. I am still a big Levy fan. I'm one of those rare things, James. I know you are too. I'm actually a Spurs fan who's also a realist. And I remember where we were, and I can now see where we are, and that goes a long way with me. I was at the ground on Monday. I took my daughter around for the stadium tour because she hasn't been there yet. It's just magnificent. Every time I see it, it surprises me and it shocks me. And he's built that. He's done that. And you look at the team and Champions League finals, and he's done that. And yeah, I'm a big fan of his. I really am. I don't think, look, he's made a lot of mistakes, but I don't think he gets the credit he does do. And some of us sometimes have a little bit short memory of where we were a little while ago, and not all that long ago either. In my lifetime, in my daughter's lifetime, we were not a very good club, and we weren't a very good run club either.
You're right about the stadium. He has to take mass credit for what's happened with the incredible stadium. But the Champions League final and all that, played devil's advocate, mate. Did he not just?
Yeah, I know.
Did he not just get very lucky with? I mean, he literally just in like the opening 10 minutes, I got lucky with the manager appointment. He basically said, "Isn't that what happened?" He appointed the manager who managed to take the club to somewhere incredible without spending any money, basically.
Yeah, and I think Levy. I mean, he's referenced it in the past, and I think we all know when it comes to football, it matters. He's a football fan, but he doesn't really know football. And a lot of the appointments he's made in the past have been shockers. So yeah, he's had to have a football man in there to do that kind of stuff for him. And he stumbled across Pochettino. None of us really knew who he was at the time. None of us had really heard of him, and it does feel like he stumbled across him, and he did get lucky from that point of view. But he's made a lot of backroom decisions as well. People within the club that have really paid dividends and helped pave the way to get where we are now.
What do you think of his latest managerial appointment?
Look, I think we both think exactly the same thing, or we did at the time. He's growing on me. I've seen a lot towards the end of last season and in pre-season so far that's actually given me a lot of confidence. And if you'd have asked me even 6 weeks ago, 2 months, let's say, what I was thinking about this season, nothing, mate. I was not excited. I wasn't up for it. Now, yeah, I'm really up for it. I can look. I don't think we're going to bother the top 4, but we possibly could do. But 5th, yeah, and a cup. Yeah, it's on, mate. We are looking really, really tidy.
That game against Reading on Saturday was the first time I saw the press. And if we play like that and press like that, I'll enjoy the majority of this season. Yeah. But I think it's easy to say, oh yeah, you went and did that against Reading. So
look, it was only Reading, but one thing that I'm sure you noticed in that game was Højbjerg, who's growing on me massively.
He's a better player than I thought he was.
Yeah, much. And he was not a lot of the press, but he's urging people to go forward. You can see his arms, he's gesturing people, he's pointing into space for them to run into. He's going to make a big difference in how we play, I reckon.
So just ask Ricky a question, or you might as well fuck off.
Well, I'm just here for the FPL, mate, to be honest. How many, you said you'd put a draft together a week ago. Does that confidence in what you're going to do this season translate into FPL?
Wait. What he's about to say, you're going to fucking laugh. I'm going to sit back.
Bearing in mind, though, that all the players are cheaper than they were last year. Like the likes of Kane, Son, Ali have all come in cheaper than they were last year. And some of them do have some good FPL pedigree, right? Harry Kane, right? He just hasn't been able to play 38 games for a couple of seasons. When he did, you're talking 200 odd points. Son, there's not a lot in that 9 million bracket in midfield. So nothing take your eye, or are you up for a bit of Spurs in your FPL team?
Right. At the moment, I've got one player. The only reason for that is our fixtures at the start of the season. I don't mean FPL.
I thought you were going to say the only reison for that is because he was at Wolves, and I bought him as a Wolves player, and he just happens to be a Spurs player. Now.
I'm not like James, mate. I'm not like James. No, I haven't got. It's Doherty. In case you're wondering, James.
Yeah, it's Doherty. My patrons told me today I'm now saying it correctly, so I'm all right. But I'm just going to call him fucking Matt now anyway.
Yeah, call him Matt. Yeah, I haven't got Doherty. My only player at the minute is Dier. And I'm sure we'll come on to that in a bit because James has got some views on that. I would have Doherty. I would have Kane. It's our early season fixtures. Our schedule is brutal. It should be illegal, quite frankly. We've got 6 or 4 games in 6 days. Traveling as well. Mate, it's criminal.
Moaning about making out like we got to go to Bulgaria and Romania.
Oh, Jesus. Or Macedonia. You know, League Cup games against God knows who at the moment. I haven't got more than that because of our fixtures. There's going to be a lot of rotation. The big players probably won't be rotated, but I don't know. I don't want to be making changes because they're picking up niggling injuries and things like that so early.
So if you get to the final of the Europa League, you're not going to be moaning about these fixtures now because it's going to be the opportunity to get a trophy.
If you get to the front of the League Cup, just give me anything. I'll take the Audi Cup at the moment.
Yeah. That's all we got to hold on to, mate. To be fair. We only seen to beat Bayern Munich in Europe last season. Don't forget.
Absolutely. But yeah, there's one player I have got my eye on. I'm really excited, and a lot of people won't agree with this. I'm excited about Dele Alli. I really think he can do some bits this season. really excited by him. And if he plays anywhere near as good as I think he's going to, he will be an absolute shoo-in into my team very soon as well.
Go on, elaborate on that, Rick.
He's just been. We haven't had Kane obviously for these friendlies, but Dele is playing as if Kane was in front of him. He's right. Mourinho. At least Pochettino. Then Mourinho seems to get it. He seems to have worked out where Dele plays best, and that's right on Kane's shoulder, right down the middle of the pitch, and he's in that position. And he has been while Kane's not been there. If he continues to be there when Kane is back in the side, 8 million, Dele can rip up some templates.
He could. If there's one player that stood out as would maybe come back onto people's radar because of these 3 friendlies, it's definitely him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because of the position, you'll know I've spoken about this a number of times. He's not as good a footballer as he thinks he is. His best position is picking up pockets and getting in support off of Kane and then beyond Kane. Like the goal we scored against Reading, where the ball goes wide and he knows, boom, I'm behind. So he's literally gone from I'm in the hole, I've got the space, to player 1-2, and now I'm in behind. It's just him all over at his best. He looks fit, which is really important. When Mourinho first came in, he had a little flourish, didn't he, for 6 weeks or so, where he looked like he was getting more like his old self.
Yeah.
Then he really dipped again, and I don't know why. Then he had injuries on top of that as well.
You both think he's first choice then? You think
I do
in
now,
the first
yeah.
choice Spurs team he will play?
To be honest, if you'd asked me 3 weeks ago, Serge, I wouldn't have even been sure that he'd start. Now I am.
Yeah, I just pulled up his stats from his FPL stats. You're talking 15, 16, 166 points. That was only 2,400 minutes. The season after,
Mental.
225 points, 18 goals, 11 assists. Then the season after that, 175 points. I mean, those are then the seasons after that, he's not even managed to get to 2,000 minutes, unfortunately. But prior to that, those are, you'd bite your hand off with 170 points at 8 million quid. So if you guys say, like, take the opinion that he's a first choice starter and he's going to play up there alongside Kane, I agree with you, Ricky, there. I actually think, you know what, that's a very interesting proposition.
I think a thing that really is going to help him as well, we are, in my opinion, going to be a lot more stable at the back. Aurier's gone. Højbjerg, he's already, you can see how well he's integrated into that side already, even just in a couple of friendlies. That the back four can largely now be trusted, which means the front players can push on more. There's going to be more space in the pitch. There's going to be less people maybe coming back to defend. There's going to be a lot more attacking returns for us this season, I think. And if Dele can get on the end of some of them, he's going to score some points. And as James said, in all fairness, I was talking to my mate probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago. I'm talking about Dele. And I didn't see a way he could get in the side. I thought he was right down the pecking order. And now for me, he's in my first 11. Of probably all the players, all the positions at the minute, there's only one I'm struggling with as to who I'd put in, but it's not Dele. He's straight in.
What would be the struggle, Ricky?
Mora or Bergwijn.
I think it would be Mora.
I think it will be as well. But there's a good case of Bergwijn. He came in and he did well. In the little time he was there, but the rest of the team for me picks itself. It's just that position as to, and it's not a bad choice, is it? Mora or Bergwijn, they're both capable. Fine.
I think Mora gets the edge for a couple of reasons. Bergwijn's actually good defensively. Mora a little bit more so, and he absolutely leaves himself out there. Also, when we're going to play with the advanced fullback, Mora is more comfortable than Bergwijn coming from the right into central positions. So he almost doesn't really play right midfield, kind of plays in between. You could almost say like De Bruyne zones almost, which then allows Aurier or Doherty to go in on beyond and Mora not to be in the way. The other thing is Bergwijn is a better impact substitute. I think we saw that instantly in the game at Newcastle. We've seen that in a couple of other games where he looks like when he comes on the pitch, he's probably going to make a difference. Whereas Lucas, I don't really get that feeling when he comes on as such. So I think Lucas Moura will get the nod to start, but you're literally looking at that being the first substitution in games at the moment. He's Lucas off on 55, 60 and Bergwijn coming on. And that's another reason why neither of them would be options. But actually, with the drop in prices for Dele and Heung-min Son, you would pay more for those guys anyway. That genuinely, if you want a bit of Tottenham in that area, pay for the guys. If you've got, from a midfield perspective, I would say generally first choice would be Son.
Yep.
Like pay the extra if you've got it. If you haven't, Dele makes a great compensation. He's at a value that I really like, Ricky. Players every year feel like they're under consideration at the start. And by the end of the season, we've all got 3 midfielders who are priced between like 8 and 9 million. It feels like that nearly every year.
It is. It's just identifying early which those players are going to be.
And at the moment, most teams are going without that sort of value, I think, generally, other than perhaps a little bit of Greenwood maybe. But otherwise, people are going up towards Son and Rashford if he's fit, and then obviously higher or a lot lower. So it would only be Son and Dele to consider. You're not fancy Sonny yourself for it, Ricky?
Not at the moment, no. I've got an 8 million spot in my midfield. It's currently filled by Ziyech. So it's just the fixtures, mate, for us at the minute. Otherwise, it probably would be Ali. I do feel strongly about him. Son, there's so many options, top class midfielders, and I will own him. I'm not too sure when, but it certainly won't be until probably October, at the very earliest October, maybe even November. Let's get this run of fixtures out of the way.
What, when the fixtures get harder, you mean?
Well, when they're not every 2 days.
Yeah, I think for a lot of listeners,
we're going to get out of that if we do well in Europe, mate.
Yeah, not for a while, certainly not.
A lot of listeners that are thinking, "What's Ricky going on about the fixtures?" Your league fixtures are decent. It's the frequency of them.
Would you like me to give you some dates there, Such?
No, we've been through it a million times. It's the league, it's the cup fixtures that are interfering with your league fixtures. Is what you're leading to.
In a nutshell, for people who haven't listened to the other podcasts, we obviously play on the Thursday between game week 1 and 2. If we win that Thursday night, we will play between game weeks 2 and 3. We will play Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, then Saturday or Sunday, then Tuesday, Thursday, then probably Sunday. That's where we're going to be at. So I think I don't even know how many games that is, Rick. What is that? It's 7 I think it's 7 games in 14 days or something, isn't it?
Well, I think between the first game against Everton and then United at Old Trafford, I think it's about 8 games.
Fucking more than that, mate.
Well, it's
10 games. 10 games.
10 games. I mean, that's providing we get through in the League Cup and we make the next round of the Europa League. But yeah, it's a pretty
So if we get through everything, it's 10 games in 23 days, I think. It's some schedule, isn't it?
It's not even funny, man. And I'm surprised I haven't heard Mourinho moaning more about it because he loves to moan up about fixture pile-ups, doesn't he?
What do you think he'll do with that? Because a lot of the guys will be listening to this from an FPL perspective and be thinking, "Oh shit, is there going to be loads of Premier League rotation?"
No, I don't think they're. Look, we're kind of lucky. I mean, Plovdiv aren't the worst team in the world, so he can do a little bit of rotation there. I've got to be honest with you, mate. If we beat Plovdiv, the 2 teams we could play, I've never heard of either of them. So I imagine there'll be a lot of rotation for that. He can get away with playing like Gazzaniga. I think Winks and Sissoko will feature. Tanganga if he's fit. Sanchez. We've actually now got a decent second 11 that's going to sit there on the bench doing not a lot. So he can rotate a lot and still put out a really strong side. He put out a team that was largely first choice last season, but ain't going to get much game time this season. So yeah, we will rotate, but not a lot. I think that the problem is, from an FPL point of view, is that he's going to have to take people like Ali and Son and Kane out there to Bulgaria and Romania, everywhere else we go, in case they need to come off the bench. So they're still going to be fatigued from a travel and being match ready mentally. So that's going to be a problem. But I don't think they're going to be tired through playing. But it's everything else that goes with it. They've still got to go. You can't go and leave your best players at home totally.
The reason Ricky's mentioning that is because essentially there will be huge pressure on him to qualify for the Europa League group stages. Because then you've gone from Champions League money to no money. The Europa League is at least a shortfall. It's almost like playing football during COVID, isn't it? The drop in cash. You've gone from full attendances to no attendances. That's what Champions League to Europa League is like. Europa League is a bridge between the elite of money and having nothing, basically. So he'll be under mass pressure to get through. I think he'll prioritise them. He isn't going to want to give the Carabao Cup up either. I'm absolutely certain of it, because he will look at that as the easiest trophy to win.
I had that conversation literally about 2 hours ago with my mate, because we were talking about the fixtures, and he said about, he'll bin off the Carabao Cup. So he won't. He likes winning it, and it's a really good chance to get a trophy on the board. We ain't going to have many chances this season. Obviously, Europa League, that's going to be far more difficult. FA Cup, forget the league. But he will not give up that Carabao Cup. Absolutely not. He will put out a team strong enough to beat whoever's in front of him. And hopefully we'll get lucky with a League 1 or 2 team, but it's just our luck. We'll get drawn away at Newcastle or something and have to field a full 11.
He might get told to give it up though. If he gets told, like if he turns around to the manager, to the chairman, and says, "Look, I'm thinking of not taking Kane, Ali, and that to Romania," and he's getting told, "Now listen, we have to win this game." I wouldn't be surprised if he's getting told that's more important than Southampton at the weekend afterwards. Like, you cannot lose that game. And you're absolutely right. He should be able to take a team that he can rotate. But I think a lot of these guys are still going to have to fly out to Bulgaria and that.
Yeah.
And then possibly Romania or Macedonia the week after.
Yeah. I mean, we've got a decent squad, but it's not the world's biggest squad. So there's still going to be first teamers starting and first teamers on the bench. Can't rest everybody.
No,
but
agreed.
I personally think the league will suffer before any of the cups. We could, we draw away at Southampton, or we lose at Old Trafford. We can catch those points back up potentially. You're out of the cup. You're out of the cup. And you say he's under pressure to qualify for the Europa League. He's under pressure to win it. That's our most realistic chance of getting in the Champions League, and we need that money.
Is it? If we're consistent in the league, we can finish top 4. We know there are 4 teams better than us, at least.
Yeah.
But all you have to do to finish in the top 4 is be more consistent than other teams.
Yeah.
If we beat all the shit home and away, we finish top 4. It's as simple as that. Doesn't matter what we did against the rest of the top 6. And we know that won't happen. But if we can be consistent, it will give us a chance. Because I'm pretty sure that Chelsea United will lose games that they shouldn't do.
They will. At Chelsea, at the minute, they're looking good. If they get a goalkeeper, forget them. They've gone. If they don't sign a replacement for Kepa, they're catchable, because they will concede goals and lose games. United, they haven't improved as much as I thought, but player purchase wise, they haven't bought in as much as I thought they would do. But that they can pull out a 50, 60 million pound signing at any moment. So I'll reserve judgment. And because the season starts way before the transfer window finishes, if results ain't going their way, they will go and spend £70 million on a player. They can do that.
They just pulled Van der Beek out of their pocket, didn't they? So
yeah, just like that. So I think 5th is still the most realistic target for us. But no, you're 100% right. A run, and we are good enough to challenge any of those sides. Well, maybe not the top 2, but certainly from 3 downwards.
Where do you think we'll finish this?
I think you'll probably finish 6th. I think 6th or 7th. I have a little bit more faith in Arteta than I do in Mourinho.
Ricky, you're available for 10 podcasts a week, mate?
Sorry?
Yes, mate,
Ricky,
absolutely.
you're available for 10 podcasts a week? All right,
honestly,
cool.
I think...
You've got to get rid of this joker, man, seriously.
I think Arsenal will finish above you next season. But again, it depends on the transfer window business. At the moment, obviously, Doherty's the only big signing that you guys have brought in. I don't know what else is on the cards. I honestly do think that there will be at least 4 Højbjerg as well. Yeah, 3 or 4 more big signings joining. Arsenal just bought Gabriel, right? As just and they're looking at that. What's his name? Thomas, the guy in Spain, at Atletico, the midfielder. Partey, that's it. So it's hard to say until you know what the squads are going to be for the season. But I have faith in. I think Arteta could. Their running, they were pretty decent. Having said that, you look at the Spurs team, and on paper, I really do look at it from an FPL point of view. I think Doherty and Dier are both very viable. I think Ali and Son are very viable. Kane is solid. Mora, Bergwijn. If Højbjerg gives you that little bit more solidity. We've talked about 8th down to like 14th, 15th, James, being highly competitive. I just think the whole league this season is going to be so competitive. And you're right about the consistency. It's what it boils down to is if you can beat the dross, home and away, then what you do in and around the teams around you is what makes a difference. But I do think Chelsea will be top 3 with City and Liverpool, and then it wouldn't surprise me if you were 4th. It wouldn't surprise me if you were 6th.
It wouldn't surprise me if it was 12th.
Yeah, you said that before, right? So
I genuinely think that's our range. I think Arsenal will finish 5th or 6th. I think Tottenham will finish anywhere between 4th and 12th. I think we have a massive range, and a lot of that's going to depend on what we do in Europe and obviously fitness. Like, genuinely, if we were to have that luck where we've lost Kane and Son and that again, even saw in the friendly against Birmingham at the weekend, like, we never played any football till Son came on with 20 minutes to go. So, like, the team can't cope without those 2 players at the moment. He's obviously very unfortunate to lose both at the same time. But should that happen again, we're a mid-table team. We're no better than that. So it goes for a lot of teams. Don't get me wrong. You suddenly take Fernandes and Martial out of Manchester United, and you probably think perhaps not so dramatic, but then you would panic for them. You'd think, oh, I ain't sure they're finishing top 4 now. So
the likes of Daniel James and what have you in that starting 11,
there's a massive drop-off with United's first 11, and there's obviously a drop-off between... There's certain ones like Lucas Bergwijn, it can be an either-or. We haven't spoken about Lamela. There is decent depth there, but there's certain ones which we can't do without Kane, Son. To be honest, Dele Alli is best. You would actually put into that. I'm already beginning to think Højbjerg is going to be massively important for us in terms of Winks and Sissoko just doesn't work as a partnership. We've hopefully got a right back now, proper one, who we can go to games if we can ever get back to games and trust. When I last spoke to you, Ricky, you told me he was in your squad.
He was, yeah. He's not anymore. Oh, at the moment, anyway. I've done a little bit of jiggling around. He's not out for good. But yeah, I'm up to my spending limit. I'm building the game week 1 team. We've obviously game week 2 and 3 in mind. So I'm just trying to hold some funds back. So I downgraded him to a cheaper option.
All right, fair enough. And the question that I keep getting asked, so I will let you take this away, mate. Why Dier over Davies?
He reads the game so well for me. He's almost like a bit like Leds in that respect, and players like Paul McGrath before him. He doesn't go to ground when he doesn't have to. He's in the space before the player who's attacking the ball is in the space. He can see the danger. He's not massively quick, and he's not even a brilliant tackler, but he's in the way. He gets in there, he blocks, he intercepts, he makes things difficult, and he does that a lot better than Davidson does for me.
He's a good communicator.
Yep.
He's aggressive. He's very good in the air. These are all Mourinho traits that you'd like.
I think one of the reasons why Mourinho loves him is he's aggressive. He's got a battle in him. If I was going to take any of those players into battle with me, it would be Dier, because I know he's going to fight, and he's got that kind of mentality to drive on the people around him. When he shouts, people tend to listen. And he kind of marshals that back. For although you'd think that Toby's the senior person in that pairing, Dier's almost the main communicator. He's the one kind of calling the shots.
It was fascinating in All or Nothing, James. I think in that documentary you could tell that Mourinho likes Dier, even though obviously he didn't start straight away. And when they had their little 1-to-1 as well, whether they would, I don't speak Spanish or Portuguese, but just the fact that they were talking in Spanish or Portuguese, from what I could see in that documentary, they've got a connection. That really threw me. I was like, hang on a second, you've got Mourinho talking to Dier. Why are they doing their? It
really threw me. I didn't realise I had to watch this big badass documentary and have fucking subtitles on. Because I assume normally when you're watching a program in English, if people start speaking a foreign language, you automatically get subtitles. No, I've got to watch the whole thing with subtitles on if I want to know what they're saying. Anyway, that's done.
It makes a difference in their communication. It really does. Like, language is really important, and the fact that they have that connection, I think, definitely Mourinho trusts him. And you said he's first choice centre half. I think he's first choice centre half. He's not out of my thinking at 5 million. You will definitely keep more clean sheets than you did last season. Last season, barely double figures, right? I think Spurs are good for 15 next year. So Dier at 5 million is all right.
It's just a shame, Ricky, that you completely misunderstood the question, though. because the question wasn't why Dier over Dave, as in Davinson Sanchez. So for the listener who don't know, Davinson Sanchez is Dave to us. The question was why Dier over Davies for FPL.
Oh, sorry. Because the way that Mourinho's been playing last season with Aurier, and I should imagine certainly this season as well with Sanchez, with Doherty, Davies will stay back. He will almost make a back three while Doherty's going forward. So Davies isn't going to get forward as much as he has done in previous seasons. Yes, that's it for me, really. Davies is going to be more confined to the penalty area and the halfway line. Although so that he did go forwards a fair bit in the friendlies, but that's probably more to do with the opposition than anything else. But yeah, he's not going to be getting attacking returns. Well, he didn't really get any last season, but beforehand he got the occasional goal, few assists. You won't really see him pushing forward anymore. And I reckon Dier will get more attacking returns anyway. He loves a header from a set piece. He may even take the occasional free kick. He's not bad at them either. And if there's no one else on the park that can take one, he'll grab them. So I actually expect, as well as clean sheets and bonus points, Dier will get more attacking returns. I mean, no, he's not going to get lots. Maybe a couple of goals, and that's about it. But it's going to
be very close. Like if someone out there really prefers Davies, I think it's a mental thing. So the other thing is, in the last few games of the season, obviously Davies did play a bit higher because him and Aurier played as more traditional fullbacks.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a given that because we've got Doherty, that Davies is definitely going to play this withdrawn left back role every single game. I think it will be game to game and depend on tactics. One of the reasons I really prefer Dier is I agree with you in terms of actually, I think there's probably a little bit more there in terms of potential attacking returns. I also think Dier's more likely to pick up bonus points because of the amount of aerial duels he's going to be winning, amount of blocks, interceptions as such. There's also one little thing which I think's passed people by on Ben Davies, and it's something for people to keep an eye on in the first few games of the season, because I'm telling you, you will see this happen. When Spurs lose the ball in dangerous areas, it's foul. That is the first objective. Well, the first objective is to win the ball. If you can't win the ball, the second objective is to make a foul. And because of this redesigned system, it means that Davies in a more central area tends to be the one that ends up going to attack the ball on that side. He picked up 4 yellow cards during the restart period to Eric Dier's 1.
I'll bet on most of them.
Dier won't be the one doing the taking out, because if it gets to Eric Dier, it's now 1-on-1 on goal. So if Dier's doing the taking out, you're probably looking at a red card. So Davies is very much tasked that if it gets to his area, you take someone out. Whether anyone thinks that's right or wrong, I'm telling you that's what happens. And that's another reason why I would strongly favour Eric Dier over Ben Davies. I will bet you now that Ben Davies is one of the first players to pick up a suspension for 5 yellows this season.
He was getting lots in the last season. So I noticed a trend, and towards the end of the season, I started betting on him. And listen, his odds, mate, I got 6-1 against him being booked against Arsenal. It was fantastic. It was easy money. But yeah, no, you're absolutely right. He's getting loads of yellows. And it kind of takes him out of the game a little bit. Especially if he gets ones early, he's going to have to, have a quiet game. Another thing is what you were saying about...
He's clever. He's very unlikely to get booked twice, by the way. Like he'll know he's done it once and he won't do it again.
Yeah. Another thing, though, said about the potential of him going forward. I think with Højbjerg in the side now, that is a possibility of Davies getting forward a little bit more, because there's that man in front of he's playing in front of the back two who they can trust. So he can slip in, and his interceptions are good. His movement and his reading the game is really good as well. So it's almost like having another centre back there if Davies does want to push up as well.
Yellow cards during the restart period, just because we happen to do it. Will Hughes, 5 with the most. Ben Davies, Luca Dean, Douglas Luiz of Villa, Fernandes of Newcastle, and Joe Gomez of Liverpool, actually. 4 yellow cards during the restart period.
Was that 8 games?
Those are the most. What's that? Sorry, Ricky?
8 games.
8 or 9 games.
So for the majority, it's 9 games, isn't it? for a couple of those. I think for Douglas Luiz, it's over 10 games, isn't it? Because they had the extra game. But for the majority, that's 9. So Davis there is picking up a yellow card nearly every other game. And I genuinely think that will continue.
Just if you got them stats you want to check, I'm pretty sure the Arsenal game. No, we had Arsenal at home, didn't we? I think all of his yellow cards came away from home, apart from one, which was against Arsenal.
I would bet against that, actually, Ricky.
Or they're all at home. I know they were all.
I think the majority of them were in home games, actually.
Oh, right, there was one that was away then.
3 were at home.
Right, yeah. I knew it was one way round. Which probably speaks more about how we set up away from home than anything else, I should imagine.
Yes. No, that's a spot on point, because when these yellow cards are occurring, it's quite often when we lose the ball and someone breaks on us. And we're more liable to get in that sort of position where we're caught out in home game where we advance with a few more people forward. It's absolutely spot on. And that's why, yes, these yellow cards are more likely to actually occur in a home game, stop the counter-attack, whereas away from home, probably start at a bit more of a solid base. Not that any of that should matter at the moment with no fans in the ground, but apparently it still does.
Yeah, well, it seems to.
I think we're done, Sud, you know?
Yeah, Ricky, pleasure always chatting to you about Spurs and what have you. I mean, this is a podcast where Spurs do get a lot of time, obviously with James's allegiance and what have you. So having a differing and similar opinion on certain things. Dele Alli, you definitely put onto my radar. I had this 7.5, 8 million spot with the likes of Greenwood and Ziyech and Pulisic and Willian, and Dele Alli's definitely in there as well. As James mentioned earlier, for any of the listeners that don't already follow Ricky, it's Ricky Saunders 77 on Twitter, where you'll find him talking about Spurs and FPL and everything to do with that as well.
Hold on. We ain't really finished. We haven't even spoke about Harry Kane yet. We've got fucking ages, mate. Ricky, why are we not starting with Harry Kane?
In my game week 1 team.
Yeah. Or anyone's.
Once I don't want to keep on saying it again. It's the fixtures, but also no one's had really anything of a pre-season. Harry Kane's had no pre-season at all. He's been on holiday and quarantined and whatever else, and he's barely kicked a ball. So he's going to go into that first game without even a practice match.
Internationals, son. Internationals, in fairness.
I don't even want to talk about internationals. But yeah, no.
Actually, they'll do him a favour, in fairness.
Yeah, to be fair, that in a way, I'm glad they've come around, because he needs some competitive football. But yeah, it's that and the fixtures. I think, like yourself, he's going to be the leading goal scorer this season. I've already filled out my prediction form, and I've put Harry Kane as leading goal scorer. I don't see anything that's going to change unless he picks up an injury. But with the structure I'm going for in my side, 10.5, I just can't find it, mate.
Okay. If you had a spot for a forward who was, let's say, above Ings and Jimenez, would you want to get Kane more than Werner or Martial, for example?
Yes.
Okay. Because you think you outscored him.
I think you'd outscore him. I don't know. He doesn't really get many assists, but when he scores, he gets the bonus points. He's going to clean up on bonus. Even last season, I think he still got about 27, 28 bonus points, and he had a crap season apparently, so everyone tells me. But yeah, I think he's going to score well over 200 points this season, be the leading goal scorer, many bonus points. He's the best striker in the league. Take out Aguero, obviously, but Kane is the number one.
All right, that was quite emphatic. I haven't got a lot to say to that other than, I think genuinely, if Harry Kane plays 38 games, I do. I think he'll finish top goal scorer. My issue with it from an FPL perspective is genuinely, I think there'll be a lot of ones, like one. I think he'll regularly be scoring 1 in a game. I don't think there's the power to have the belief in the captaincy. His returns during overhaul, look at me, different fucking game. Restart. He's played the 9 games, 7 goals. It's good. Break it down into FPL points. It's 54. It's 6 points per game as an average, which is, don't get me wrong, he's really, really good. But I think he just emphasised he's got 7 goals in 9. There were obviously the Newcastle and Leicester game were a couple of braces, but then therefore there was a long period with he obviously hadn't scored as well. I think those Newcastle and Leicester games are a rarity. I don't see us having many games where we couldn't score 3 goals, if I'm totally honest. That's why I think there'll be a lot of ones. I see Tottenham winning a lot of games next year, 2-0, 2-1. That's how I see it. I just think there'll be better captainable options. But if you're happy to have him for his consistency and know that he will score most game weeks, then yeah, I think he will.
I want him. That's probably more of a Tottenham fan. Look, let's be honest. If at the moment, if I had 10.5 million available, I'm going Aguero. It's that simple. And I think a lot of people will be maybe ducking Kane because you've got Sergio Aguero at exactly the same price. And if he even looks like going on a run, people will go to him before they go to Kane.
Yeah, agreed.
That means that Kane could be a big differential.
Yes.
So just keep an eye on that one.
I think for a lot of people, it boils down to maybe formation as well. I'm going with 3 up top as opposed to 2 up top. And so I've balanced it with a Werner and a Martial and Ings all at that 8.5, 9, 9.5. If Kane or Aguero start going off, then it's easy to drop one of those two down to 6.5 or 6. There's plenty in that bracket, and then and get to him. They're not like the midfielders, the Salahs and the Aubameyangs that are at 12 million. 10.5 for most people will still be 1 or 2 transfers to get to. They're both priced so attractively. It's just, I mean, if you knew you were going to get 38 games out of both, they'd both be in your team straight away. And that's the concern. I think with Harry Kane, I'd rather wait till you get this congested pile up of fixtures out of the way and then have a look and see and go back for Harry Kane later, because he is fixture proof. So it doesn't matter if the fixtures get more difficult. He's still a good asset. I'd like to see a little bit more breathing room between your games before I go for Harry Kane, though.
During the restart period, only 4 teams had less big chances than Tottenham. Tottenham had 12 big chances during the restart period. Brighton, Everton, Palace and Norwich, the only sides that had less. Of those 12 big chances, Harry Kane had 9 of them. Only Sterling and Antonio as individuals had more big chances than Harry Kane. And Antonio's were all in one fucking game. Yeah. And Kane didn't get to play them, by the way.
But you're not going to pick him, James.
No, I'm not, no.
There you go.
I'm not, no. I will be going without Spurs, personally, until I see something that takes away my negative bias, which I do have for it at the moment from an FPL perspective, and makes me enjoy watching them again. At that point, I'll believe that I can back them. At the moment, I still don't really trust on what I'm watching. To be honest, if you'd have said to me 2 weeks ago, who's the best Tottenham asset in the game, I would have said Dier or Kane if you can afford it. I do think now Doherty will be worth paying the extra. That would be the number 1 pick for me.
Yep, couldn't agree with you more. Any more you want to chuck out, James? To be fair, bringing us back for Kane.
You just don't want me to stitch you up again, do you?
Me?
Yeah.
In what way?
And then let you do the end speech and then just say we haven't spoke.
It's fine. No, I'm saying, to be fair,
Hold on, we haven't spoke about Joe Hart.
No, forget about him. It was quite a good spot to think that we'd got to 30 minutes of Spurs and hadn't talked about your main man Harry Kane there.
Really talks about Son either, to be fair, but you know, that's cool.
Yeah, I think we did say he's the
lethal and brilliant
choice.
Very capable.
There.
The thing is, all of them, like, there's only so much saying you can say it's a good price. Kane's a good price. Son's a good price. Doherty's a good price. Ali's potentially a good price. Eric Dyer's a good price. You've got them 5 stand out as particularly good prices, potentially. But unfortunately, there's about 50 players who are all really underpriced, so they just fall into that bracket as well. Kane is not great at 10.5 million versus Aguero at the same price. I agree, because Aguero is more explosive in what he'll do per minute. But Harry Kane just on isolation is 10.5. Yeah, great. Versus Aguero, I'm not so keen if Aguero's fit. That's my point. And I think that's how Ricky feels as well.
Yeah, it's the same as Son. Son's 9 million, and he's guaranteed to get you between 10 and 14 goals, probably about 10 assists as well. But is that enough at 9 million when you've got Pulisic at 8.5 and Ziyech at 8 who could kick off? Greenwood, he could conceivably get 15, 20 goals next season. So Son is a good price for what he gives, but he may not be value in the whole game. So time's just going to tell on that one.
Agreed. There we go. As I said earlier, any listeners that don't follow Ricky Saunders 77 on Twitter, where you can find him talking about Spurs and what have you. And James, with Correspondence Week, before the next one, I need to drink about 3 cans of Red Bull just to get my energy levels up. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I mean, this Tomo will bring the energy. There's no doubt about
that. So it's either double espressos or Red Bulls. We're heading up to Sheffield United for our Sheffield United correspondent, FPL Blade Tomo. So make sure wherever you're listening to the podcast, you're subscribed. You'll get notified as soon as we go live with the next one. And as always, most importantly, stay safe, guys. Ciao for now.
Thanks, Ricky. Cue music, please, man, Charles.
Thanks, guys.